Hey guys, how's it going? Today we have 3 projects to work on. Starting here in the raised bed vegetable garden, we've got 4 terracotta pots in here that I planted blackberries in last year, and I don't think any of them survived the winter, which is a bummer, but we're gonna try again with 1 blackberry and 3 blueberries. We're gonna get those potted up. Then we're gonna head out to the south garden. We've got a smokebush that needs an attitude adjustment. We're gonna take care of that today and get it pruned back, a rejuvenation prune. And then we have the sweetest spice baby viburnum to plant. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this plant because this is a Korean spice viburnum, which if you are at all familiar with Korean spice viburnums, they're one of the most intoxicating smells in the spring when they bloom. But this one stays way smaller than the traditional. In fact, let me show you a traditional one. Now this variety gets about 3.5 to 5 feet tall and wide, while your traditional Korean spice, which ours is just now going out of bloom, but they get enormous. And if you've got the space for one, definitely plant one because it's worth it. But I'm excited to tuck a smaller version in out in the south garden. Okay, so you see that? It's absolutely massive. I want to say, I don't know, maybe 12 feet tall and at least that wide. And I just love it. It's just a phenomenal shrub. The blooms start out a pink, like the buds, and then they open up to white, and they're just so super fragrant. I just love it, but you can see how big it gets. And you don't always have a space for something that big, especially where we're at, because viburnums tend to like to be protected from afternoon sun. So we're gonna have to position this one just right out in the south garden to where it'll be possibly in the shade in the afternoon, or filtered shade at least. But let's get started in here. We've got to clean out these pots. We've got 3 on this side and 1 over there. Yeah, those aren't looking too hot. I thought for a little while, you could still see some green in the branches, and I thought maybe it would push some growth, but they're just not looking super promising. This is a weed, not other growth. I thought maybe if we gave them some time, they would possibly push new growth from their roots, but I'm not even seeing that. And our blackberries out in the south garden are so much further ahead. Like, they've got new fresh green leaves. I just don't know. I think these may have dried out a bit this winter. So on this side, we're gonna plant our 3 blueberries. We've got one called Blue Ray. This one's a peach sorbet, and we've got Rika? Not sure. I'm unfamiliar with this one. But all of them already have blooms, which is so fun. This one stays a lot smaller, like I think 1.5 to 2 feet. Let's see. Yeah, 1.5 to 2 feet tall. Zones 5 through 10 on this one. And this one's self-pollinating, so you don't need more than 1 blueberry in order to get berries on this one. The Rika, which I am unfamiliar with, is a zone 4. It doesn't say anything about whether or not it's self-pollinating or not. We'll maybe put that on the screen, but it does say it's fast growing and an adaptable variety with high yields of dark blueberries with a very sweet flavor. And then Blue Ray, which I have grown before, is a really good variety, a favorite for areas with hot summers and cold winters like we have here. And these have very large fruit that tastes really good. So these 2 want to get more of a traditional size, like 6 by 6 and 4 to 6 feet tall by 5 feet wide. Clearly they will not get that big in these containers, but container growing is pretty much the only way that we can grow blueberries. I'm sure that there have been people that have been successful in our area growing them somewhere in our area, but we are just too high pH every time I've tried growing them in the ground. In fact, every time my parents have tried growing them in the ground, like throughout my childhood, they always just struggled so much. So I've had much better luck putting them in containers. We have some in containers out by our orchard right now. We can better control a little bit the amount of acidity in their soil. In fact, I'm going to mix potting soil with land and sea compost today, which is more of an acid-based compost. And then if we just stay up on keeping some soil acidifier going, there's Russell, they will or should stay fairly happy. I had the most luck when we lived in our townhouse before this house. I had a great big pot full of blueberries, and oh my goodness, were they ever productive from year to year. Like, they did so great. So I'm hoping we can find just the right situation, and it's worth trying over and over to me because I love blueberries. I love them fresh off the plants, and so do the kids, and that's so fun to watch. These blackberries, though, were in these containers long enough to where they really rooted in. I mean, I think we're gonna probably pop most of that soil out. And I really want to start with fresh soil completely all the way around, especially for the blueberries. And then in the event that these didn't make it because they didn't get enough moisture, I'm gonna try one more time. This is exactly what I had in here. The baby cakes, blackberry, they stay a lot smaller than the traditional, even like the semi-trailing varieties that I have out in the south garden. They grow like 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and I can't remember the zones 4 through 8, but boy, were these berries tasty. So I'm really hoping to have more success this time around. I have to make like one last check. Like it started to bud out, it looks like, but all the buds just died. And again, there's no new growth at the base of this one anywhere. Okay, so we just need to get all of these pots cleaned out and new plants planted. And they look so much better. Having something alive in them really helps. So we've got the blue right here, peach sorbet and Recca there. And you probably saw, I hope you saw, that we were able to pull the drip tube out of the bottom of the hole and then feed it back up through after I slid the old root ball out. Topped it up with fresh land and sea compost, fresh potting soil, kind of gave it a little bit of a mix. I don't think it really matters all that much to mix it super thoroughly. And then tacked down the drip tube again when it was all done. But I think they're going to be really happy here in this location. I hope they are, at least. And then over here on this side, we've got the baby cakes blackberry in. That root ball was really super heavy. I actually had to have Aaron help me lift it. I got the other 3 in there just fine, but this one was really weighted down. That was probably my fault because I've been watering these extra along with the drip they've been getting. We turned on our drip system, I don't know, maybe about a week, 10 days or so ago, because I thought, well, maybe they just need a little extra just to get going. Nope, I don't think that there was really any life left in those berries. So anyway, got that one all cleaned out. This is one of the crescent containers. So it looks like terracotta, but it's plastic, so it's a little bit easier to handle than the ones over there. And I love the real terracotta pots, but this is pretty good stand-in, I think. Got everything else watered in here. I'm not gonna take the time to wheel up the hose at the moment. Oh, everything's looking so pretty. Let's go take care of that smoke bush. Here it is. Look at this weird looking smoke bush. I planted this it was either late summer or fall. It was last year at some point later in the season, and it looked beautiful. And I love the color right here because in front of it, we've got a lot of green things that are just starting to flush new growth at the moment. So I really want that red color in here. And I thought we were gonna be okay. And I even showed you guys in a video just recently how it pushed new growth. And look at this. We had a little bit of a cold night. It froze after it had been warm for a while, so it just took all that new growth. And while there's still probably life in those branches and it might leaf out, I'm seeing a bunch of fresh growth here at the base. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the whole thing down to that fresh growth. These big stalks, I'm gonna take them all the way out. And we call this a rejuvenation prune. And oftentimes, like if I were to leave these branches, they might, like I said, they might push new growth, but it'll likely be sparse and it probably wouldn't look that great. Plus these branches are like curling around all weird. I don't really want it to grow like that. So getting rid of all this top growth will give the plant a tremendous amount of energy to send into new growth. And I think we'll be surprised in the end how it looks. once it's had a chance to kind of rebound. And do keep in mind, if you're going to rejuvenate prune anything like this Smokebush or Rose of Sharon or anything that's got big size, but it's just been looking kind of puny, not really performing very well, and you're not really loving it anymore, you're not really out anything, to cut it back completely, see what it does, and that way you can at least know whether or not you should remove it. But yeah, there is some risk doing it. And it looks like this is going to involve 3 cuts, so this will not take very long at all. And there we have it. So as long as we don't get a random cold snap, I think that this plant will just push a bunch of new growth, and it will look really beautiful here soon. And I did wait until our forecast showed very consistent temperatures in the mid to high 40s, which is where it's going to be for the next 10 days at least. And we're heading into May here this next week. So I'm thinking I don't know, our average last frost date is April 29th. That's just an average. You can get a weird cold snap here or there. So I'm hoping we're past the near freezing temperatures for this Smokebush's sake. They really are a gorgeous plant. Okay, our last project for the day is the Spice Baby Viburnum. And it is gonna go right underneath the ash tree over there. Tulips are looking great. So fun. Right in there. We've got a bunch of hostas in this space. Stays fairly protected in here, even in the summertime. Of course, the ash tree hasn't leafed out all the way yet, but once it does, the branches go out quite far. So I think the plant should do really great right here. And as you're looking from this side, I think it'll fill in this space beautifully. Everything's looking so fun in here. It came back so great, even the ferns. Oh, I'm so excited about it. There it is back there looking so good, especially once it puts on a little bit of size. I rocked my head on that bird feeder when I stood up from planting. Always a good reminder to be aware of your surroundings. I'm not sure if we caught that on camera or not, but oh my mercy. I'm gonna feel that for a while. So this Viburnum is a zone 4 through 8, and you do have to have a different variety next to it, a pollinator variety, in order to get berries, but not for blooms. And I don't care if it gets berries up here. I just really want it for its spring interest up here and the blooms and fragrance that it will provide to this area. And we are coming along in this space. I mean, we just started planting this last year. So I'm really thrilled with how it's coming along. Of course, you know, it helps to have the huge ash tree above it. And then the few other things like the big blue spruce. And this is the Japanese maple that we did have up by the kitchen patio area. Moved it over here while we were working on the patio up there, and I just loved it so much that we kept it here, and I love that. This whole space is just so fun. Really enjoying it, and I think this Viburnum is the perfect addition to this space. And you know, we've talked about the future expansion of the flower bed in this area, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. And you guys, that is it for today's project. So happy to have those pots all taken care of in the vegetable garden and the Smokebush. I've been looking at that for a little while, kind of giving it some time. Ooh. So fun. The birds are out like crazy today, and the honeybees. I can hear them buzzing. They love this crabapple right there. Anyway, I've been looking at that Smokebush, kind of giving it some time, hoping that it would maybe reflush, but I think we were kind of past that point. So it looks much better to have that kind of gross looking top growth gone. And then any addition to this area is really fun. I just love seeing it starting to fill in. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, the frost also got my hostas a little bit. Sad.